Hey, what's good, guys? Emo Cat Dad here, hanging out with you, bringing you yet another edition of Emo Cat Dad Listens. Like yesterday, I'm still sick, but I'm going to plow through this for you guys because that's what I do. Because every day of 2024, I vowed check out a new band or artist, and no sickness is going to keep me from that. As you can see right there, today's artist is Microwave. Microwave, yet another band that's playing the Four Chord Music Fest next month that I've never really dove into. I started hearing about Microwave probably around 2017-ish. They were kind of in that grouping of the indie emo bands that people were like, oh my god, this is so great. Every emo needs to check this out. But I wasn't really into indie music. And as I mentioned on like my modern baseball video, I really dug modern baseball when they first came out. And then I heard another song that I was less enthused with, so I just kind of moved away from that as a genre, never got into bands like the Front Bottoms. So I just kind of ignored the whole genre, figuring modern baseball's at the top of this. If they can't give me anything other than Your Graduation to enjoy, I'm not going to try with the genre. But Microwave's been sticking it out for a while, and I've since listened to and loved a lot of emo indie bands. So I knew I had to come around to Microwave at some point. And honestly, with me going to a show that they are playing next month, there's no better time than now. Alright, so Microwave's most streamed song on Spotify is actually off a split EP that was released back in 2015. It was a split with the band Head North, who I've never heard of. So if you know Head North and you think this Emo Cat Dad should listen to them, let me know in the comments below. But in the meantime, I'm going to check out the Microwave song off this, But Not Often. Okay, so this was a perfect indie emo track. Like, no notes whatsoever in the first half. Once the slowdown hits, it was kind of an interesting choice. I get what they were going for. It just really didn't hit for me personally. And then, of course, after the slowdown, they pick it up a little bit. We go into a longer musical break. Those that are regulars know I don't really like long intros, outros, or musical breaks in tracks. And then it ended with repeating lyrics, something else I do not love. My regular viewers will know. So, kind of ended on a sour note despite starting so strongly. In 2016, the band released their album Much Love, which this is probably, once I started hearing the buzz on this album a couple months after its release, was probably when I first started hearing about Microwave. I checked out the track Drown. Alright, so this is basically an elevated version of the last track. It does still take some swings musically, like there's a little bit of noise rock added in certain parts, and I really dug those aspects about it. But the headline here for me was the lyrics. The lyrics on the last track were pretty strong, minus the repetition, and because it was a shorter track with a longer musical break in it as well, we didn't get as many lyrics, whereas this was basically full-blown great lyrics all the way through, so gets a big thumbs up from me. In 2019, they followed up Much Love with their next album, Death is a Warm Blanket. And off that album, I checked out Float to the Top. Okay, first off, this is a way different sound for Microwave than the previous two tracks. I loved the Nirvana-style vocals and guitar they give us when those sounds hit, but the majority of the song just didn't hit for me. They did some other stuff that just wasn't to my personal taste, but I can at least appreciate the swings they took, and I did really enjoy that one swing that made contact for me. But overall, I don't think I'd revisit this track. Alright, so let's just jump to a new album. Earlier this year, Microwave put out the album Let's Start Degeneracy, and I checked out the track Bored of Being Sad, which is their most trending track from this album. I've grown to feel so little love, how you act like you call the bastard up and buy him lunch. What a great lyric to kick off the song with. Definitely set the tone and the mood for what the song was going to bring, and it brought it. Musically, this is definitely a tonal shift back to the earlier tracks I listened to. It seems they got out all their experimenting on Death as a Warm Blanket and came back to a sound that their fans seem to like, since nothing off Death as a Warm Blanket is trending in their top 10 right now. But 3 tracks from this album are, so the fans are digging it. Alright, so those are 4 tracks I checked out for Microwave. Let's go ahead and rank them. At number 1, Bored of Being Sad. Honestly, the lyrics here were the best out of any. I know I said that about Drown early on, but this one made Drown look awful in comparison. They were so sharp and smart, and the guitar work is an underrated aspect of this track. Alright, at number 2, we're going Drown. Vocals and lyrics are very important to me, and other than Bored of Being Sad, Drown takes the cake in both departments. And let's not forget, there was still some experimenting on this with the little bit of noise rock we got throughout. Really dug that element as well, so Drown is definitely deserving of the number 2 spot. At 3, I'll go But Not Often. The first half of this track was so perfect. I just wish it continued through. Even if they did the slowdown and then just went back to the same style to end it out, this might have had a chance of second and maybe even first, but ultimately it just ended poorly for my personal taste. However, nothing can take away from the fact that this song was epic at the very beginning. And of course, at 4, Float to the Top. Float to the Top could have had the 3rd spot, but ultimately both tracks had the situation where I really liked some of it and really didn't dig the rest of it. And ultimately, the parts I loved about Float to the Top, like I said, those fuzzy Nirvana guitars and the vocal styles, just didn't land with me as strongly as of the beginning of But Not Often. Alright, so those were my thoughts on the songs. What are my overall thoughts on Microwave, the band? The band is super talented. The guitar work is very undervalued. I don't hear too much people talk about emo guitar, and when they do, it tends to be like the more shreddier bands. And Microwave doesn't shred, but they do enough interesting things with their tones and their playing that really they should be talked about a lot more than they have been. I personally have never heard anyone say Microwave guitar work is top-notch for the emo pop-punk scene. I never hear that. And I should. What I do hear is that their lyricism is great, and there's no denying that. These lyrics are top-notch. Jerome came and I said, this is a great lyrics. A+. And then they just go and obliterate it on the newest track, Bored of Being Sad. I just hope they got all their crazy experimentation out on Death as a Warm Blanket, and we get more bops like Bored of Being Sad and Drown in the future. And hey, if you want to give us But Not Often, but just the first minute and a half, all the way through a 3-minute song, I dig that a whole lot too. Alright guys, that's it for me. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm your friendly neighborhood Emo Cat Dad. Appreciate you making it to the very end of this video. Since you're still here, please leave me suggestions of other bands or artists that I absolutely need to check out. I still got 200 of these to go, so I still need lots more bands to check out. So please do me that favor. Help me out. Let me hear some cool new bands that you're digging, and hopefully I will dig as well. And while you're down there in the comments leaving me those suggestions, let me know your thoughts on Microwave. Are they the indie emo kings already, or do they still have some more growing to do? What are your thoughts on the new album, Let's Start Degeneracy? Is it your album of the year? Is it in contention? Let me know. I'm definitely going to check it out, and I'll give you my thoughts once I get around to checking out the full album. Last but not least, I hope you stick around for tomorrow's video, and the video after that, and the video after that, times 200, to see when I get to your suggestion that you have now left in the comments, right? And the best way to do that is if you simply cut my wrists and hit subscribe. This Emo Cat Dad signing off so I can get some sleep, but come back tomorrow for another one, and hopefully I'm feeling better. Till then, I want to hear you sad.